Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Since Day One. Before we get into this video update today about R. Kelly's Chicago trial opening statements, go ahead and like the video, comment down below, and if you are new, smash the subscribe button to take flight with us.
Fake love, I don't need it, you can keep it, that's a fact. I had to make up my mind. I took that weight on my shoulder. I done been down.
R. Kelly sat hunched at the defense table through openings, dressed in a dark blue suit and a light blue tie and wearing black eyeglasses. For the most part, he appeared to be fixing his gaze straight ahead, even when his attorney, Jennifer Bonjean, reintroduced him to the jury. Prosecutors' opening statements begin in plain terms. The defendant, Robert Kelly, had relations with multiple children. He made videotapes of himself having relations with children, and these two defendants, Daryl McDavid and Milton Brown, knew about it. Prosecutors detailing what's on the videos are Kelly having relations with quote-unquote Jane, his goddaughter, they say. As you listen to the dialogue in the video, keep an eye out for just how many times R. Kelly and Jane refer to Jane's age as being 14 years old. When authorities started investigating one of the tapes in the early 2000s, R. Kelly sent Jane and her family on a month-long trip out of the country per prosecutors, and when they got back, they lied to authorities about the tape at Kelly's behest. As R. Kelly was awaiting trial in Cook County, he and the co-defendants made wide-ranging efforts to locate and cover up the other tapes of him with Jane per prosecutors, including one payoff that happened during the 2008 trial, they say. Jurors will only see 3 of the 4 videos at the center of the charges. Video number 4, which allegedly depicts R. Kelly having relations with Jane and an adult woman, will not be shown. Efforts to cover up, in some ways, they were successful. Defendants managed to get video 4 back. R. Kelly's attorney, Jennifer Bonjean, begins her opening by noting that many jurors said they were familiar with R. Kelly and some of the allegations against him. He is entitled to a non-biased jury, and that is a tall order, but you all said you could do it, she says. Prosecutors believe their evidence is going to show that R. Kelly is a serial child hunter. That's what they believe. And it is true that Mr. Kelly is imperfect. It is true that on his journey from poverty to stardom that he stumbled along the way. It's important when the government wants to paint him as a monster that you remember we are talking about a human being. We implore you to keep these emotions in check. Prosecutors built a case around a docuseries and social media in a quote-unquote mob justice climate, Bonjean continues. R. Kelly's defense attorney, Bonjean, trying to cast doubt on Jane's credibility. She is only now coming forward after 22 years, and she's testifying under a grant of immunity, presumably because she'd be admitting to perjury, but there may be other crimes, Bonjean says. R. Kelly's attorney continues, it is entirely possible that in this climate that R. Kelly could also be a victim. He can. Of financial exploitation, extortion, those things as well. There are strong motivators out there, Bonjean said. R. Kelly shook his head slightly at some of the prosecutor's remarks, particularly when the prosecutor alleged that one witness, Lisa, was afraid he would physically hurt her if he found out she'd taken his tape. During Bonjean's opening remarks, R. Kelly nodded his head when she told the jury he was not expecting any special treatment, just asking that they follow the law. The prosecutor tells the jury they will see videos 1, 2, and 3, but not video number 4. The prosecutor also reminds the jurors that the alleged victims are older now. Jane was 13 or 14 when R. Kelly allegedly hurt her, but he says she's 37 years old now. Jennifer Bonjean now starting her opening on behalf of R. Kelly. Bonjean tells jurors some measure of bravery will be required by you. Bonjean tells jurors that R. Kelly is entitled to a fair and impartial trial, which the Constitution guarantees for all of us. There is no R. Kelly exception, she says. He gets that guarantee too. Bonjean continues, it is true that R. Kelly is imperfect. It is true that on his journey from poverty to stardom that he stumbled along the way. We won't deny that. Bonjean continues and says that the government, which professes to care about justice, waited over 2 decades to bring this case in a mob justice climate. Bonjean says video number 4 in this case doesn't exist, and it never existed. That's the video the feds told jurors they won't see. Bonjean goes on to say, we'll have to see see if Jane testifies. She appeared on the key videotape with R. Kelly. For the last 22 years, she has adamantly denied that it was her on that video. Bonjean is telling jurors that 3 key witnesses against R. Kelly are criminals who extorted R. Kelly and all have immunity deals. R. Kelly had another side, a hidden side, a dark side that he, along with the help of McDavid and Brown, did not allow the world to see for years. You are also going to hear from Jane about the videos, the prosecutor says. Jane is going to testify. He tells the jurors to keep an ear out while watching the videos for just how many times R. Kelly and Jane discusses Jane's age as being 14 years old. R. Kelly had relations with Jane's friends too, the prosecutor says. One was 16, another one was 14 or 15. Here is where the trouble starts brewing for R. Kelly, McDavid, and Brown, he says. A video of R. Kelly and Jane leaked to the public in late 2001 or early 2002. Jane also got a tattoo with R. Kelly's name inside a heart around this time. Brown took Jane to get the tattoo covered up, the prosecutor says. McDavid also discussed with Jane getting rid of a necklace she wore in the video because it also appeared in her passport photo. R. Kelly became Jane's family's only source of income, Julian says. The prosecutor is now talking about Lisa, who had relations with R. Kelly and Jane, and says that she was 18 when she met Kelly in 1998, having just crossed the age threshold. Julian is detailing the ins and outs of efforts allegedly made to track down videos of R. Kelly having relations with Jane in the lead up to R. Kelly's 2008 trial. They say that R. Kelly told Lisa to strip down and get in a jacuzzi before talking to her. Julian continued, Jane's going to tell you that R. Kelly kept her hidden away, hotels and other places throughout the 2008 criminal trial. R. Kelly was acquitted in that state case in 2008, but R. Kelly, McDavid, and Brown, they still had to keep their secrets. Bonjean is done with her opening statement in which she accused government witnesses of extortion and creating the infamous videotape. She even said parents may have engaged in trafficking based on the Fed's evidence. Prosecutors say that R. Kelly sent Jane and her parents out of the U.S. for a month while law enforcement was looking for them. That Milton Brown took her to someone's home to remove the tattoo with Robert in a heart and told her and the family to deny she was in the video. Federal prosecutors say that R. Kelly's trial will show a dark side, a hidden side of the Grammy winner where he repeatedly had relations with children. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jason Julian says that R. Kelly videotaped relations with the then 14-year-old Jane from Oak Park. Prosecutors say that the jury will see graphic videos and hear from Jane that R. Kelly talked about her 14-year-old genitalia while having relations. In opening statements, Daryl McDavid's attorney Glosman says McDavid only ever acted at the behest of R. Kelly's high-powered lawyers. Doing your job as a lawyer and doing your job as a business manager to a superstar is not a crime. Being successful in your efforts is not a crime. Each of the acts that Daryl McDavid took were at the express direction of the esteemed group of professionals who agreed that they were right and legal things to do. Glosman also notes that McDavid intends to take the stand in his own defense. McDavid reasonably believed that the tape at the center of the Cook County criminal case was not legitimate and that Robert should be exonerated at trial. Because McDavid believed that there was never any intention to obstruct justice. Bonjean also says that the tapes allegedly showing R. Kelly having relations with minor girls have no evidentiary value, given that one of the girls allegedly in the video called Jane denied that it was her in the video under oath multiple times over 20 years. R. Kelly's defense attorney Jennifer Bonjean lambasted federal prosecutors' allegation that Jane denied it was her in the tapes due to fear of what R. Kelly would do to her. She says that allegation won't hold up once the jury has a chance to examine the evidence. Bonjean instead attacks Jane's credibility and that of her family. She says Jane could be considered guilty of perjury and that she only agreed to speak in court due to an immunity deal. Bonjean told the jury in order to find any of the defendants guilty of some type of obstruction, you'll have to believe 3 individuals who, so long as they come up here and say what the government thinks is true, their own criminal activities are cleared. R. Kelly's lead defense attorney Jennifer Bonjean is accusing 2 of R. Kelly's alleged victims, Lisa and Brittany, of extorting supporting him, demanding upwards of $35,000 to not release the tapes to the public. A woman named Sparkle tried to blackmail R. Kelly over a record deal that fell through. Glossman blamed Sparkle for spreading the allegation that R. Kelly had relations with minors, an allegation, Glossman points out, that R. Kelly's alleged victim Jane repeatedly denied. Glossman also calls out Chuck Freeman, a former associate of R. Kelly who allegedly gave one of R. Kelly's leaked tapes to McDavid, a con man. Freeman told lie after lie and has been caught doing so, Glossman says. He denies McDavid ever received any tape from Freeman. McDavid's defense team seems so far to be lining up with R. Kelly's, at least when it comes to painting government witnesses as criminals. Glossman says one time R. Kelly's manager Barry Hankerson called R. Kelly's assistant to make a threat on February 4th, 2002, telling them a tape was coming out. The same day, a call came from the Chicago Sun-Times. The newspaper said it had a tape of Robert and a minor. And I also found the original article that the Chicago Sun-Times reposted from 2002 when they said that they received this videotape in the mail. The article starts off, Chicago police are investigating whether R&B superstar R. Kelly, who is a part of today's opening act at the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, had with an underage girl and videotaped the illegal act. It goes on to say a 26-minute, 39-second videotape, which was sent anonymously to the Sun-Times last week, shows the singer-songwriter performing various acts with the underage girl. Allegations of relations with underage girls have dogged R. Kelly throughout his career, including his brief marriage to his then 15-year-old protege, Aaliyah, who died in a plane crash in August of 2001. The girl in the video, now 17, was identified by her aunt, who said that her niece would have been 14 at the time that the tape was made, based on her appearance. R. Kelly can also be heard on the tape referring to the girl by her first name. The names of the girl and her aunt are being withheld by the Sun-Times to protect the family's privacy, although they are known to police. Chicago police first began investigating allegations about R. Kelly and the girl 3 years ago. At the time, both the girl and her parents denied that she was having relations with Kelly. Without hard evidence or eyewitness testimony, police and prosecutors were unable to press charges. Now, with the video, authorities tell the Sun-Times they are more optimistic about building a case against R. Kelly. The Illinois state statute prohibits adult men from having relations with girls under 17. It is a felony to videotape such acts with anyone under 18, prosecutors said. R. Kelly's attorney at the time said that the video is a forgery. Any tape you have is a fake, and we find the timing of these events to be extremely suspicious. I would imagine that the police will do their job. A professional video maker told the Sun-Times the chances of fabricating a phony video that goes on for that long with R. Kelly's image and voice are slim to none. 26 minutes of putting someone else's head on someone's body, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of hours of frame-by-frame manipulation to make something like that work. In both videotapes, R. Kelly appears to be very conscious of the camera, looking at it and adjusting the angle several times. In the most recent tape, the underage girl refers to Kelly as daddy while they have relations. The acts that R. Kelly had with this underage girl included intercourse, fellatio, and urination. A television show plays new release music videos, including Let's Have a Party Tonight by the Backstreet Boys and Too Much by the Spice Girls, which were hits in the late 1998 and early 1999. That would have made the girl 14 at the time, and an advertisement can be heard for the Money Store, which closed in 2000. McDavid's attorney Glossman alleges that Barry Hankerson, Aaliyah's uncle, tried to pay at least one woman to falsely claim that she had relations with Kelly while underage. And in 2002, he made a threatening call saying that a tape was coming that would ruin R. Kelly. McDavid suspected a setup. McDavid could only act on what he knew at the time, Glossman said. The fact that Robert and the girl in the video decided to lie about it back then made it impossible to prove that his managers did anything other than what they were supposed to do. Doing your job is not a crime. Back in the R. Kelly trial, we are hearing the opening statement from Milton June Brown's lawyer. She's characterizing him as an R. Kelly lackey who was merely following orders from his controlling boss. He had no way of knowing whether the R. Kelly tapes were genuine or was on it. Just in, the first witness for the prosecution in the R. Kelly trial is Dr. Daryl Turner, an expert who will testify about the grooming of children and grooming behavior by pedos. Dr. Turner is testifying now about the power differential that makes the grooming process go much smoother, particularly if the offender is someone in a position of authority such as a teacher, a coach, or a celebrity. On cross-examination now, Jennifer Bonjean points out Dr. Turner has never met or interviewed R. Kelly and has no idea whether the allegations against him are true. Have you watched the docuseries Surviving R. Kelly? Bonjean asked, and the doctor replied, no ma'am. Bonjean, picking at Dr. Turner's qualifications, pointing out that a large portion of his teaching experience was with the University of Phoenix. That's an online school, right? Bonjean asks about rates of false reporting of abuse by minors and the motivations for it. Turner says it's very rare and mostly happens in child custody or divorce cases, and she's wrapping up cross-examination now. The second witness for the R. Kelly prosecution will be Ann Meckelborg, the senior managing director for the Recording Academy, which administers the Grammys. Prosecutors are showing Meckelborg R. Kelly's list of 26 lifetime Grammy nominations and 3 wins. R. Kelly's 3 Grammys are all for 1997's I Believe I Can Fly. Meckelborg testifies he won for Best R&B Vocal Performance, Best R&B Song, and Best Song Written for Motion Picture or Television. He performed it at the 1998 Grammy Awards, and they're playing a snippet in court now. Prosecutors are seeking to establish R. Kelly was a superstar wielding enormous power in the industry. Every once in a while, a song comes along that touches us all in a way that is out of the ordinary, the person introducing R. Kelly says before the song begins. Prosecutors say that at the time of the performance, R. Kelly had been having relations with his 14-year-old goddaughter for 2 years. On cross-examination now, Bonjean asks, were you aware that the complaining victim's father in this case was on the album Love Letter, which was nominated for a Grammy in 2011? She also asked the same thing about the Chocolate Factory album from 2003. And it really made me excited, y'all, that they brought up Greg Landfair, because just because he passed away doesn't mean he gets to escape. I looked up Greg Landfair's music credits, you guys, and he appeared on R. Kelly's TP2 playing the guitar in 2000. He also appeared on Chocolate Factory playing the guitar in 2003. He also appeared on the R in R&B Collection Volume 1 in 2003 playing the guitar for R. Kelly. He appeared on the Happy People You Saved Me playing guitar in 2004. In 2005, he played guitar for In the Kitchen by R. Kelly. Also in 2005, he played guitar for TP3 Reloaded by R. Kelly. Also in 2010, he played guitar on R. Kelly's Love Letter. In 2014, he played guitar for The Essential R. Kelly. And then in 2016, he did 12 Nights of Christmas playing the guitar for R. Kelly. And this is just proof that he knew all along, y'all, and he really just kept playing his position for monetary gain. And when Bonjean asked about the complaining witness's father a third time, Meckelborg says, what was his name? Prompting prosecutor Jason Julian to ask for a sidebar. Bonjean tells Julian to relax, and then the judge tells Bonjean to move on, and now Meckelborg is off of the stand. The third witness for the R. Kelly prosecution is retired Chicago police detective Daniel Everett. Daniel Everett has previously testified he received the infamous R. Kelly tape from Chicago Sun-Times music critic Jim Deragotis in February of 2002. Everett says he was assigned a case in October of 2000 involving allegations of child abuse from regarding a known celebrity with a minor child. The minor was R. Kelly's goddaughter. Everett says he interviewed the girl Jane at a small shoe store in Oak Park, and Jane informed me that Robert Kelly was her godfather and that he never hurt her or never would do anything like that to her, he said. His report noted the allegation was unfounded. Everett says that on February 1st, 2002, he received a copy of the tape from Deragotis. He recognized the girl on the tape as Jane, and when asked how he recognized her, Everett says the facial features. And then they asked him, is it because you met her in person? And he says exactly. Everett is walking jurors through his investigation and how they searched and photographed R. Kelly's house on West George Street in Chicago, which Everett stated had similarities to what was seen on the tape. When talking about R. Kelly's bedroom, after viewing the video, it is very obvious that this was the setting where it took place, Everett says. Direct examination is over, and the judge says trial is done for the day. Everett will be cross-examined Thursday morning. And that is it for today, you guys. I will make sure to keep y'all updated as they continue R. Kelly's Chicago trial tomorrow. And thank you guys so much for tuning in with me on this video. And I will see you guys in the next video.
So long, sleeping from sofa to sofa.
on these little bitty bitches. And some brand new Gucci lows, some Gucci walking. I got tired of eating Big Mama's chicken. Now it's business when I walk.